So we give our club members the opportunity to take speeches if they want. Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest player in basketball history. You might say he was a prodigious basketball player. Michael Jordan once said this: "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost over 300 games. And on 26 occasions, my teammates entrusted me to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over and over again, and that is precisely why I succeed." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and all the welcome guests, this is what I want you to take home with you today. Stay persistent. Don't give up. You need to keep overcoming the obstacles on your way to your goals. Can I see a show of hands? Anyone here ever been laid off from a job? Yep, a few of you. It's not a good feeling. In January 2003, I got laid off from Tetra Tech, a surveying company in the Lansing area. My first response was, I'll show them. I'm going to fight and find another job. I wrote this list here, I still have. 26 survey companies in the Lansing area. And I either visited these companies or wrote them letters on my resume. Didn't do very well. About half of them didn't even contact me. So I was feeling bummed. But about 3 months later, I did find my way back into Tetra Tech. I've got my job back. The hours were still low. It was about 32 hours. So I knew I had to continue and try to find a position that was more stable. So I went back to my list and I organized into 8 companies which I thought would be the best. And this is why it's a good idea to write goals down on paper, because I have this and I can prove the number 1 company up here says MDOT, and that's where I've been working the last 8.5 years. Once you have your goals written down, you know where you're going. So I got an interview with MDOT in Jackson. I was looking online and I got an interview in April of 2003. And it didn't go too well. I didn't get the position. So I went back to work for Tetra Tech. Now here's a quote I'll leave you from the actor Mickey Rooney. He said, "You always pass failure on the way to success." So I tried to keep positive. And sure enough, in September, I got another interview with MDOT, this time in Lansing. I said, well, this is a great job. This is surveying. This is what I do. It's close to home. I showed up at this building. I was about an hour early. And I was in my car going over the interview questions from my Jackson interview, so I had practice. I was feeling pretty confident. And I started to the door, and I walked over to this door, and it was locked. And so I started walking around the building, and I could not find where I was going, and I started jogging, and I was getting nervous, and I finally found the security office, or the security officer over here, and I got in just in time. I had my interview, and I thought I did pretty well. I tried to relax by thinking, okay, I'm going to pretend that there's 2 positions and 2 people interviewing, so I would relax during my interview. And I did pretty well, but I couldn't quite get a feel. They wouldn't let me know if they would call me back, so I left not knowing what to think. It was about 3 weeks later when the letter arrived in the mail, October 9, 2003. It says, to be eligible for the surveying technician classification, you must possess an associate's degree in civil technology or surveying technology. Based on my review of your application and resume, you do not meet this requirement. You have a right to file a complaint regarding the decision. Well, my balloon was deflated. I could have given up, and in fact, I took a half a day off work. I was upset. I interviewed for this position, which I wasn't even eligible for, so I was angry. I was not going to write them a letter of complaint. There was no need. I knew I didn't qualify. So 2 days turned into 4, turned into 8 days. Finally, about the 11th day, I thought, they wasted my time, so I'm going to write them a letter to complain to say that I do have a civil technology degree because I interviewed in Jackson earlier this year and they said that I was eligible. So I wrote them the letter here and I stapled on the back my resume again with all my qualifications just so they'd have more to read. So they read my resume and I thought that'd be it. I thought I wouldn't hear anything, but 3 weeks later, a package arrived in the mail. I said, oh, it's pretty big. I opened it up. And the first couple pages did not sound like that was favorable to me. They were saying that I didn't have a survey technician's degree. And so I felt, well, I'm going to throw this in the garbage. You know, why'd they write 5 pages worth of negative news? Then I thought, okay, I better keep reading, just see why they didn't accept me. And as I read, it does say the complainant does not possess a degree in surveying, but he does have a lot of survey experience. He's held positions on survey crews, and he's passed survey technician tests. So we agree to accept that you do qualify for this civil technology degree because of your experience. So I had not written them a letter to have them overturn me, but in reality they did. And within a week, I got a call back from the supervising surveyor who said he wanted me to work for MDOT. So I was unbelievably excited then. I came to work for MDOT 8.5, almost 9 years ago. I started working, and here's a lesson. When you work and reach your goal, you need to keep trying to get better. Once you've reached the dream, the goal I had there was, oh, this is my dream job. Well, you can't just accept that. You need to keep going and try and better yourself. So now I've told you I've tried to get to work at 7:25. Like today, I got to work at 7:30. Now if I was trying to get to work at 7:30, I would have been late. But because I tried to get to work 5 minutes early, I get to work on time when sometimes I'm running late. I've got one more quote I'd like to give you. It's by Harriet Beecher Stowe, the author. And she said, "Never give up, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn." So I would urge you all, if you see the tide turning, if you think this is the time to give up, keep plugging on, because if I hadn't have sent that letter to MDOT, I don't know if I would have been able to make it to the next level. I might still be working 30-hour weeks, who knows. So stay persistent and reach your goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Greg. Now, if everyone would take a minute to write an evaluation for Greg.